Good afternoon, Gossip Talk Shows family. Sorry, guys, I've just received bad news from home, so I'm just in a shock. So, good afternoon, Gossip Talk Shows family. It's Nomsa here, and please, guys, continue to pray for Carol Ann. She's still in the hospital. And normally we get an update on Tuesday with the doctors what they've decided to do. I think they come on Tuesday, the big consultants. So please do pray for her and pray for my family as well. I just received bad news, really, really bad. So the topic today is the hidden maze of family wounds, unraveling their impact on a relationship. Welcome to Gossip Talk Show's channel, and I'm going to dive into this provoking video topic and how past family wounds can play a very, very significantly impact the dynamics within the relationship. And through this journey, we're going to look into the topic and the buried deep subconscious, how we can profoundly influence the way we can interact with others, relate to others. And join me today as I explore these topics, this topic, and hopefully you guys can if you're going through some family wounds, then you can actually work through healing and work through forgiveness is very, very important. So if I wumble up, guys, just forgive me. My uncle's wife is just as I was putting live, I don't know why I opened my WhatsApp. I just realized my auntie just passed away. So hopefully I'll be okay talking and then coming out of the talk show. So family wounds, and so as we explore this breakthrough from destructive patterns, family wounds can create destructive patterns, it can create unhealthy relationship, it can create create anxiety to a person, it can create all sorts different behaviors. So if you really, really want to live, create a healthier life and fulfilling relationship, you would. So as I go through, I will give you guys some strategies that can help you to connect with your loved ones on a deeper level. It's very, very important to fostering empathy, compassion, and personal growth is very, very important. So do you ever wonder in your life why expedition into the hidden path of our family wounds can unravel their impulse, which can pave the way for stronger, more harmonious relationships that stand the test to time? Family wounds can test your relationship. It can test your career. It can test, if it's not dealt with, it can test so many things in your life. It can play a really, really big part into your life, which is it can, if someone has not dealt with their scars, the scars of their past. Sometimes it's very, very important. If we have gone through things in life, it's very, very difficult to deal with those scars. Is in a deeper level, is very, very important to actually Sometimes it could be is the bruises that were left behind by our parents, or sometimes it could be the bruises that were left behind by our ancestors, or sometimes it could be the bruises that were left behind by our parents. Like myself, I'm going through something at this moment. At the moment, the wounds that I have discovered my family, who they are, and that has caused me to question. I've discovered the identity of my family, who they are, and is making me wonder what my family went through in order for them to actually be where they are, because they had this beautiful life before, which they were willing to leave it behind. They were willing to hide that identity so they can go and live a different life where no one knew them. So for me, is going through prayer and rediscovering my family's identity in my family line has left me with a shock, and in a way that I just feel sorry for my family. They didn't deserve to actually go through what they have gone through. They didn't deserve, my ancestors didn't deserve all that, but they went through it. And now I'm in a place where I am actually asking myself, what can I do differently? What can I do differently in my life in order for me to, what can I do? Come on, phone. In order for me to actually live a happy life. So I think I've dealt with those wounds unknowingly. And dealing with those wounds unknowingly makes me realize that my ancestors went through pain. They had to leave their identity behind. They had to go to a place where they had to pretend to be something. They had to actually fit in, and which is making me realize that sometimes if you have wounds that you've not dealt with, it can affect your life. Because like right now, I will live on not knowing my identity, even though the identity that I think I know, but in the spirit realm, because whatever is in the spirit realm, spiritually, life is spiritually. Whatever it is in spirit is in there, is the reality in the spirit realm is reality. So if in the spirit realm, my my family's identity is different, but in the physically, their identity is different. So that can play a big part in my life, how I'm able to move forward. So now I know my family's identity, then now I can then work towards healing. I can work towards, I'm not sure if I want to retrieve their title, but I think I'll leave it that. I'll leave it to God. That's too big for me. So what is is too big for me? So I don't think I want to do that. I think that would be God's work. That God will have to do that. He will have to guide my family through life. So the wounds of our past can either help us to become who we want to become, or they can destroy us. There are some people who have actually faced their wounds, their bruises, and they have the bruises from their parents. They have to face the bruises from their grandparents. And sometimes if those things are not dealt with, it can cause, these wounds can actually manifest as negative beliefs. So it's very, very important, and they can create a pattern behavior or unresolved traumas that infuriate every relationship we form. Like myself, I God. Sometimes there are times where I pray to God and my life will keep going wrong and keep going wrong. And then like the Holy Spirit will come to me and say, this is the reason why your life is going the way it is going. But because there are some things that in the past, my ancestors that were not dealt with. So I need to deal with those things. So for me, it was having to deal with my family. And now, like yesterday, I was wondering whether is my family really moving or not, because that has led me to realize that actually where they originally come from, that surname doesn't exist. It exists on my grandmother's side, which is my grandmother. She's South African. My daddy's mom, her family, her bloodline, they're South African. Okay, that part I understand. But my dad is completely, when God reveals their identity, I'm like, this is too big for me. So, but I was in a point where I was ready to accept it. I was ready to deal with it. And I was ready to actually, I was shocked because I thought I was like, okay, my family are just this family. But then when you actually find out that your family actually not what you think they are actually, to God, we are the same. So that can actually, sometimes it can cause trauma to other people, or sometimes that trauma may be the cause of my siblings, or it may be causing the cause of my cousins or some other people not being able to live the life that they wish to live. So those are the things that can actually can cause problems. It can cause twists and turns in families. And so it's very important to actually represent a piece of your family history. It's very important. My family history, when I actually realized my family history, to me was a shock. For me to actually get to find out that, wow, this is my family. And amazingly, I took it well, but I still have some questions to God that what do they go through when they had to, like, let's say I'm in United Kingdom, living in United Kingdom, I'm a billionaire, then I decided to leave the United Kingdom and decide to go to a different country where I just live a normal life. That's what my family did. So I'm not going to say anything more. So that's what they did. They decided just to move to where they originally from and just go. But now the question I have is why? And also the question that I have is, I wish I could ask my great granddad if it was painful or it was a decision that he was happy to make that decision. But unfortunately, I can't ask him because he is dead. So it's very important to actually know your family history, because the family history can save you lots and lots of twists and turns, wounds of your ancestors. So it's very important to actually work on those, because if emotionally we neglect our emotions, and that can occur in our, that can show up in our, whatever we go through, whatever happened, the wounds of our ancestors, the wounds of our parents, the wounds of our grandparents can show up in our adult wounds, or even the wounds of our childhood can show up. So if we actually ignore them, so we don't need to ignore them, you can break the ties and just break the ties. And for instance, a child who grows up with parents who really express their love, affection, and provide emotional support may experience emotional neglect when they're older. Like myself, is the experience that I experienced when I was like old. When I was younger, there was so much love in my family. So now I'm getting older. Now I'm being told, now being older, now I have to, like, now I'm having these feelings where I have to find a boyfriend. And when I find a boyfriend, I'm entering a relationship. And now there's this thing where there's conflict. I'm not used to this conflict, so it's confusing me. And I'm not used to all this, like having arguments with their boyfriends. So all those things is the journey where I find it really confusing. I don't know if anyone can comment for themselves as well, those who have experienced that same thing, where emotionally with your family, love, full of love, you grow up full of love and fulfilled. And then when you get older, you feel like when you start dating, you feel like something is not really, like something is missing in that relationship because you're not used to this love where there's obligation. Sometimes the relationship loves, intimacy love can have obligations if you are not with the right person. So for me, it was it was that moment where I had to actually accept the relationship, like as an individual, accept that my parents are individual. And because now I grow up with this, some people who express their love or provide emotional support. And now I'm older, I'm entering a relationship. Of course, I feel neglected because the love is not the same, although it feels the same, but it's not really the same. So at the time, because I was in a confused.com as well, so I felt that I have to try hard to try to fit in. So you know what I mean? So those things affected myself, affected me until I actually figure out how to love myself. So all those things can play a really, really big part in your life. Um, if you've not dealt with those wounds. Because like for me, my parents are divorced. I can't remember their divorce. If I tell you that I remember, I can't. I don't know their divorce. I just know that they divorced when I was a babe. I think I was 8 months. So my mom went to work, my dad went to work. They divorced, and my mom went back to school, and I lived with my grandparents and my dad. Because in my family, like I've said it before, my family do not have, in my family line, no one has children outside and leave them there. So that is the thing that my family have. If you play away, you do anything, the child will be exposed, and then you have to take responsibilities and look after your blood, look after your child. That's how my bloodline are. So when my mom and dad divorced, my mom was like, we made these children together. I want to go back to school. So as a man, you are going to take responsibilities to look after the children. And my mom went back to school. When she finished school, she got married, but my dad did not want his children staying with another man. So we stayed, my grandmother, we are happy staying with my grandmother anyway, visiting my mom. And that was brilliant. That is the childhood that I would not ask for anything from my parents. It was the best decision my mom has ever made in her life, to say, take your children and look after them, because sometimes men, they run away from responsibilities. And also my mom did not want to take us back to his parents, to her parents. She didn't have a house. My dad had a house. So that meant we had to go back. We have gone back with her, staying with her parents, and she was not going to have that. And she was like, they have a home, so we had to stay at my daddy's home. So, or normally, like in the UK, the man moves out. In Africa is different. Our culture is different. When people go through divorce, the man, he does not move out, stays there. So you will then depend, the man has to find a home, two homes for his children, and the woman, if the woman is raising the kids. But for me, my bloodline, because of who they are, like I said to you before, that I've realized my family's identity uh, through searching, and doing so many history, looking for my family history, I realized that my family actually, they're not who we thought they were. So in those reasons, I can understand that they will not have children. I couldn't understand it before. In my bloodline, how it works, like Nube's children, if you meet my aunt, my cousins, you don't have to be introduced to them. We are all look like. Look like you might have a brown skin or you but we look the same. If we don't look like our fathers, we look like our grandparents or our aunties. So that's how we are. And but when it comes to African culture, a man, he takes the responsibilities for his children. But now it's changing because people are traveling more and women are getting more independent, and women, they don't care anymore. They don't do that responsibilities. And they're like, yeah, I'm independent. I take my children. So nowadays things are changing. So, but before, in my father's generation, divorce means, men, you take a responsibility. So that's what happened with my mom and dad. But those wounds, because there was so much love, later on, it just, I ended up questioning my everything, my identity. Like, why do I feel this way when I enter a relationship? Is because I needed father's love, grandmother's love, mother's love. I wanted that love to be the same. So I had to deal with trauma. To me, it was trauma, which is my parents' divorce, that affected me without me knowing, subconsciously. So I had to deal with that, to go through healing. So it's very, very important when you go through all those kind of, or sometimes you might have parents living together, married happily, and then you might have to face, you might have to then later on it might affect you as well. So it doesn't mean really childhood trauma is because of parents. Simply, sometimes it could be abuse. Some people go through abuse when they're young, physically, mentally. Some people go through sexually abuse. So there's so many things that people have to go, they end up going through. Or some people, they experience childhood neglect, they struggle. When you experience childhood neglect in a later on life, you can struggle to actually create a relationship. Or some people, they, like, if you come from an abusive family, it can actually harm your relationship later if you don't deal with things properly. And mostly, like in the United Kingdom, here people, they promote counseling for people to actually deal with their trauma. But there are some cultures where if you go to a counseling, it's seen as weak, it's seen as you shaming your family, you're shaming your family. Your sin is, they translate it in so many ways. So people would rather go through the abuse and die with that secret. Or some people, they sexually get abused and they're not allowed to talk about it because of their culture. Or sometimes they go physical abuse, they don't not allowed to talk about it because of the culture and the stigma as well. So in Africa now, counseling is normal, but before, in my generation growing up, I didn't know what counseling was. But now counseling is normal. You can go for counseling. People, they accept it now. But before, they'll be like, you shaming your family or things like that. Or maybe Western countries, they still have this stigma. So by the United Kingdom, in other countries, Europe, is normal to go for counseling. So if you are somebody who goes through pain, or you have gone through pain, and you think things are gonna be better, things are gonna be better, and without getting professional help. So you have to deal with get professional help and deal with whatever experiences, if it's physical abuse from a parent, such as being regular hit or beaten, or major physical injuries, psychological trauma, anything that can leave a long-lasting emotional and physical scars. That means it got to be dealt with. Forgiveness got to go through so many things. Sometimes people can struggle with so many things. Child growing up with the parents who are addicted to alcohol, or sometimes drugs. That may, when that child witnesses erratic behavior, experiences of neglect, endure feelings of confusion, fear, instability, and within that family environment, it can also affect them when they are older. Some people, like their biography, if you go to the library, you can buy like a biography, people who have gone through childhood neglect, who have gone through so many things in life. So it's very, very important as an individual to understand that you are unique, and if you meet somebody who has gone through that pain, similar pain, and they are okay with it, people are different. So don't start judging yourself and say, if this person is okay, why am I not okay? So the experiences and the impact that can impact a person is different. So in order for you to overcome those challenges, you may need to get professional help. So it's very, very important to understand emotions, self-awareness, and also be aware of your identity is very, very important. Once you address the situation, whatever we do in life, once we address that situation in our heart, it brings out pain, unwanted pain. It brings out unwanted anxiety. It will bring out unwanted, because we are confronting the feelings that we don't want to feel. It's okay as well if you go through that. So when you confront that, the reason why I'm explaining this, when I was going through my divorce, there were the times, the decision that I made at that moment, how I was going to deal with is to confront it in an honest way. And when I did confront it, it was painful. Sometimes you may want to actually numb those feelings. You may want to ignore them. You may want to push them on the side. If you can push them on the side, but to me, it was to face them. And the minute I actually looked at myself in front of the mirror and face, the minute I'll feel the pain, it was like a stabbing pain in my heart. Like my heart is being stabbed. My heart is being everything. It just, my life, I just felt like my identity, I couldn't recognize myself. If I look at myself in the mirror and confront those feelings, it was so painful. I did not go to anxiety. I did not go to depression because I confronted it very, very, very quickly. I think I confronted it like when actually, when the relationship ended, I was like, I went to the GP, and the GP was like, go to your psychologist for counseling. So I took that advice straight away, and I just went through straight away. But when you face, now that I'm facing that pain I'm facing the pain of questioning my identity. Why my relationship was ending up in the same cycle. It's like when things gets too serious with me, or if there's something that I don't understand, I don't want to be in that situation, I'm out. But it is okay. But for me, there was a question where I was questioning everything in my life, where I was like, why my relationship ended up like it's in a cycle. I was like, I've worked really hard, invested so much time in this relationship, but I'm ending this way. And even the breakup, I couldn't understand why we were breaking up. I couldn't understand it. But it was then, after the breakup, after the healing, now I was then faced with the truth. If I can tell you a big reasons why my relationship didn't work, is the skills that I didn't have for relationship, and it is also my childhood attachment. My childhood attachment, like I've said it from the beginning, that the children that experience so love, I experienced so much love with my dad. The things go really, my relationship with my dad, it was like at the age of 5, you put me to bed, I go to bed without having a kiss without my dad kissing me, I will not sleep. If he comes home at midnight, I'll still be awake, and I'll wake up the minute I see him. I'll eat food with him, and then I'll go to bed. They think that I'm sleeping, but they got to know that I do not sleep without my dad saying good night. And those were the things, that the love that I had with my parents, that was so close to my mom and so close to my dad. And that closeness means I can talk to my parents about anything. My parents were my best friend, and now I'm in this relationship where I just feel like I needed to work on my relationship. I needed to communicate my desires, my want, but I couldn't communicate them because I wanted the person that I date to be like my dad. I wanted to date my dad. But then as I go older, then now I'm faced with the divorce. Then that's when I had to realize that I need to understand that my dad was a unique individual man. My stepdad, I wanted to date my stepdad. You tell me off, I don't get told off. Honestly, I wasn't a spoiled child, but within my family, I do not get told off. Never got told off by my parents. If I make a mistake, they'll sit me down, they will explain to me, and they will explain to me the consequences. What happens if I do not listen to them? Not like shouting they will explain. My dad never explained anything. I've never, I wouldn't get naughty in my anywhere. So the reason why, it's so powerful when somebody shouted you, you just want to get over it and just be naughty. But when somebody takes time and they explain the consequences, for me, it was when I go out with my friends. That's why I was never get told off. I hear my daddy's voice. If I'm about to do something naughty, I'll hear my daddy's voice in my ears. Then I'll turn around and go home. That's how my life was. I'll hear this man who takes time to sit down with me and talking, or I hear my grandmother's voice or my mom's voice, and then I'll be going home. I will not get involved in anything that knowing that is going to put me in trouble. So that's the life that I've lived. But now that I'm older, and then I'm dating a man, and the man tells me off, I'm like, oh, I'm confused. Okay. So so I had to deal with that. And some people may say, but that sounds silly. It's not. For me, that was something that I was carried. That was the problem that I had to deal with them. And people experience different things in life. So you have to if you are that person that experienced different things in life, different problems, don't compare your life with anyone and say this person or this person are able to deal with the problems that they have. Why am I not being able to deal with my own problems? It's because we are all different. We are all individual. So it is very, very, very important to actually make sure that you're dealing with your problems based on as an individual by identifying the patterns, thoughts, behavior, towards your relationship that contributes to that wound. For me, that's what I did by being able to actually identify the cause or roots of these problems that were causing pain into my life. And by doing that, it helped me to be able to, it guided me to go towards a healthier choices, to making healthier choices in my life. So I started making healthy choices. I started making I started behaving my behavior. I worked on my behavior. Sometimes I will, if you go to my Facebook profile, sometimes I will just dress up like thinking that beauty comes from the cleavage. So if I dress up cleavage, then I will attract men, and then I attract the wrong guys. And those were the things is because of, the past. You don't know, if you don't take responsibilities to actually work on the roots of the problems. And self-awareness is very, very, it empowers, self-awareness empowers the individual to take responsibilities and to actually to deal with take responsibilities for their own healing. Because when you take responsibilities for your own healing by acknowledging your wounds and your role as well, a perpetuation role as the individual, and it will help you to actually take steps towards that deliverance, take step towards breakthrough. But then you have to be honest. Self-improvement, in order for you to have a self-improvement in your life and self-growth, by seeking support. For me, it was seeking support. And I seek support from psychologists. And in the end, I decided, because I wasn't finding that breakthrough that I needed at the time. And at the time, I just decided, you know what? I'm going to find the breakthrough based on my identity. And just listening to this psychologist trying to break through my head, because I needed to make a decision in my head as well, that I needed the breakthrough. So going through all that, then I had to bring God into my life as well, to say, you know what, I cannot do this on my own. Can you help me with this breakthrough that I was looking for? Yeah, he did help me. And was it easy? It's not easy to be honest with yourself, but the result is a joy. When you actually create, when you actually design your life, when you design your life, it's like, this is the person that I want to become, and I'm going to seek support. And at the same time, I sit down, I wrote down what I thought was my identity, the person that was there with me. I had to write down that person. But the real Noms was inside. My inner child was inside, crying, wanting me to recognize my identity. But at the time, I was too busy. I was too busy, because, when you are too busy of being busy with the problems and being busy and all those things. So I was too busy to listen to my inner child. And also I wasn't aware of aware of my uniqueness. I wasn't aware of it. So I got that support that I needed, therapy. I didn't join the support groups. I tried to go to one support group and I just felt so depressed coming out. I was like, I think I'm better off not going to support groups. And when I actually opened that door of seeking support, allowing people in my life to guide me through, allowing God to guide me through life. And I was no longer seeking validation from anyone. All I wanted at that moment was the tools for me to move forward, the tools for healing. What can I do to actually find that healing through? For me, I've tried the tools of psychologist. I learned the skills. Through psychologist, I've learned the skills. And when I learned the skills, about my breakthrough came through from God when I decided to fast. That moment that's when I got my breakthrough. I fasted, and after fasting as an individual, I created my boundaries, maintained those boundaries by understanding my needs and limits and values as well, and just enabling my healing journey to manifest, and understanding that I'm a unique individual, angel of God, who was born to shine on this earth. So those are the things and also cultivating self-compassion and self-awareness and forgiveness. I had to forgive myself. Forgiveness is very, very, very important. Forgiving yourself is the critical component of being able to move forward. So I had to work on that. And when I worked on my forgiveness, it was a journey where there were people in my life that entered my life and they hurt me. And after that, I had to go through that healing, and I had to let them go. And I knew the results that I wanted, but it's not an easy journey, because you have to, in order to let somebody go, you have to actually forgive and then cut ties in the cord of that unforgiveness. So it means every time I think about that person, I'm no longer angry anymore. I can talk about the story, I can talk about them, but it means that I've let it go. I'm no longer angry, or I can just not talk about them. So those are the things that you have to go through. And also treating myself with kindness. The advice that you give to somebody else, give that advice to yourself. And once you understand the power of forgiveness, by being self-aware as individual, that you can build that compassion, loving, allowing yourself to love yourself, and also welcome your wounds, welcome them home. Just say to your wounds, I'm aware of it, and I welcome you. When you welcome that wound, that means now it has to be a story that can build somebody else. It's no longer a story that holds you back. It's a story that you can tell others. It's a story that you can educate others. It's a story that you can just use it to actually help yourself. So, and also the journey, the healing journey is very, very beautiful. It's not an ending one. It doesn't happen. You don't just do the healing and it has to be consistent, because we live in this world where somebody is hating somebody. So you have to take steps each and every day to grow. And if you believe that there's some unresolved family issue, that can sometimes those family issue could be trust, and sometimes betrayal. There are some families who just go betray each other. So all those things, if you feel that, you know what, I've been betrayed, there are some children betrayed by those who are meant to love them, who are meant to take good care of them, and they betray them. So if you find the communicating is difficult to communicate about your wounds, first take a journal and journal everything, the feelings, how you're feeling, and be honest. Don't let people discourage you, or don't suppress your feelings. And if you find yourself you are struggling to express your needs or your emotions, you can, if you don't deal with it, a relationship wise, intimacy relationship, it can lead to misunderstanding, conflict, and lack of emotional intimacy. So it's very, very important to deal with those things. And once you deal with those things and deal with the individual attachment style, so is very, very important. And if you feel insecure, somebody who feels insecure, if he's insecure attachment style, and then deal with it as well, because that means there's fear, that means there's a struggle. So just deal with it by working with a professional, and take a pen and take it generally, and start holding the pen. Just start writing your future, your destiny, because no one can write your destiny. Only you can hold the pen. Only you can write your destiny. Only you have a voice. What voice is in your head? Only you can speak. So that's why it's very, very important, the self-talk, whatever we talk to ourselves, the language we use when we speak to ourselves, that language is the critical component of how we are able to move forward and live a fulfilling life. So hold the pen, the voice, they speak your language. Speak, find your voice. Don't, like when I go on social media, if I see somebody is posting something, or I just start becoming like them, find your own voice. Be a leader with it. In your own life, in your relationship, be the leader. It's very, very important. If you have been hurt before, remember when somebody hurt you, that moment is their voice. It's the chapter that they are programming to you. So that's why when we pray, we say every negative thing that has been programming into my life, that has been programmed into my children's life. When I was a baby, when I was an adult, we ask the blood of Jesus to wipe it away. That's why it's very, very important. Or sometimes when we pray, we say any negative words that have been spoken against me. And mostly it's people, like when they talk, the words that they will speak are very, very powerful. Sometimes people may say negative words that they can affect you. Or sometimes even if you don't hear those words, it remembers the spirit realm. What happens in the physical happens in the spirit realm. So those negative words, we need to wipe them off. If you don't use the blood of Jesus. If you are not a Christian, at least cancel them. Just say, I cancel every negative words that have been spoken against me unknowingly, knowingly or unknowingly. So it is very, 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 very important, the words that people speak, the life that we go through. You can cut the cord, or sometimes it could be our parents, they go through something, then we end up like behaving like them. So you can cut that cord of like mother, like daughter, or like father, like son. So you can live a happy life. So you can find your own voice, write your own story based on your life, not based on growing up with your parents. So you can write your own story. This is the person that you want to become, and become that unapologetic. So it's very, very important to deal with this childhood trauma, because sometimes it can be overwhelming. They can lead to unhealthy intimacy challenges. It can hinder like the development of intimacy in a romantic relationship. You may struggle to be vulnerable, express your feelings, your true emotion. That's why some people, they like don't want confrontation if they're in a relationship. It can lead to distance or fear of intimacy, or difficulty building deep, meaningful connection with people. So it's very, very important to actually face those challenges, and with self-awareness, find professional support, and be open to communications, and also speak life to your life. And it's very, very important to speak life to your life, because when we don't speak life to our lives, then it means that somebody else is speaking something else. So transform your life by understanding that the power of healing is very, very important in our lives. And when you understand that forgiveness and healing is important in your life, then you'll be able to find your own voice and lead from within. It's very, very important to actually be your own person. I sometimes meet people that they say they found their own voice, but they're doing things the wrong way. When you actually find healing, it means you don't have time to hate somebody else. You have just time to impact people, and just enjoy this world that God created for us. If you're watching from YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. If you're watching from Facebook, please like our page and join our Facebook group, Ngozi Talk Shows and Unique Billionaire Mindset, and follow us on Twitter as well and LinkedIn. And live with grace, everyone, and God bless. And please, if you're looking for love, you can go to our website, and God bless. Don't forget to pray for Carol Ann, guys. She's still in hospital.